Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. My name is Amy, and I'm the founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and courses, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you like this podcast, you're going to love the Irresistible You online course and VIP private podcast. If you want to learn more about it, including the investment, see everything that's included, get client testimonials, and to sign up and enroll, please head over to irresistibleicing.com/course. That link is also in the show notes. Welcome back to the podcast. We are smack dab in the middle of summer, and I wanted to share with you my vision and my list of how I am creating a whimsical summer for 2026 and beyond. And let me just back up a little bit for you and kind of explain where some of this came from for me, because I do know that like whimsy and whimsical and is kind of trending a little bit on social media, which is ironic. But I want to share with you where this journey that I'm on right now kind of started from a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I was scrolling as I do, and I came across this quote, and it was on I don't believe it's a Lisa Frank quote, but it was on a Lisa Frank graphic with some roses and this hummingbird and a butterfly. And I'm going to say why that's significant in a second. On this quote, it says, I think the key to a happy life as an adult woman is to channel your inner weird little girl and make her happy. And this quote stuck with me. It resonated with me. And it just kind of sat in the back of my head and planted a seed for a while. And I kept thinking about that because it just really did something for me. And it wasn't just a random quote for me. Number one, it caught my attention. I was Lisa Frank through and through as a kid. I had all the things. I still love Lisa Frank, all the branding for Lisa Frank. When I looked at the quote, there's a hummingbird. I absolutely love hummingbirds. My grandmother, who I was very close to my whole life, she had hummingbird feeders. Every birthday, holiday, Christmas, we always bought her some kind of hummingbird thing. So hummingbirds are very near and dear to my heart. Obviously the Lisa Frank bright colors. There are roses on this graphic, which my daughter's middle name is Rose because it's my favorite flower. So visually, it kind of like grabbed me, but the quote itself just sat with me and it started to plant this seed talking about the inner weird little girl. I identify as that. Like, I was always a little strange, a little weird. I was always into like magic and potions and just, always loved those kinds of things as a kid. And when I saw that, it reminded me of who I had always been. It reminded me of being that weird kid who was obsessed with magic, who loved fortune tellers and psychics. Like, I always loved all that kind of stuff. And I mean, living in the 90s, were we not the epitome of the psychic scammers? Like, I mean, those commercials were always on. It was I remember my grandma used to get the tabloids, but she didn't call them tabloids. She always called them the I got to go pick up my trashy papers, and she would say, I'm going to go to town and get my trashy papers. And in the back of the trashy papers was always these ads for like psychics and fortune tellers. And remember Miss Cleo on TV? Like, I just always loved a fortune teller vibe. And for those of you that know how I decorate for Halloween, I turn my whole house into like a fortune teller lair. And I was always into like magic and potions. And I had these two books as a kid that I recently found. I was so excited because I didn't know they were still there. When we were helping my parents sell our childhood home, I found these two books, which are like basically herbology and like, making like natural potions. But I remember in our front yard, we had this black, it looked like a cauldron. I don't know what I think it was a planter, but it literally looked like a cauldron, and it was on three legs, and I would go out in the front yard and like mix stuff together and pretend it was potions. I had all the mood rings, all the mood ring necklaces with the moon and the stars, and I had like this mushroom. It's so funny because if you know me now, like I had this mushroom clay necklace, all the peace signs, and I will say, like early 90s were like super like we were it's kind of like how now all the kids are reminiscing and wearing 90s clothes and us 90s kids were all wearing like 70s fashion, and like the whole hippie vibe was really in back then. And I just always had a knack for like mystical magical things. Of course, as a kid I loved playing video games like Nintendo, and I was a big like reading person. I loved like just give me a book, leave me alone. I had a bunk bed. I'm gonna sit under my bunk bed. I had the little beaded curtain because I was into all the hippie things, and I had black lights in my room. I had a disco ball. um, I loved all that kind of stuff, and I would just kind of nerd out. And I was, I think at the time considered kind of strange, kind of weird because I was into all this stuff, but I loved it. And it's just so funny, like, right? Like, I was just laughing again how like 90s were like the age of psychic hotlines and fortune teller scams. Miss Cleo was a legend. Remember, y'all? I know you remember. The funny thing is I don't think I know for a fact, because I'm looking at my office. I know for a fact that none of those things ever really went away. They were always there. They were always buried under, as I got older and I grew up and trends change and you're trying to figure out who you are and you become an adult and you go to college, and it's like all of that kind of got buried a little bit under adulthood and responsibilities and work and later on motherhood, and also just societal expectations, right, of like what we're supposed to care about. And I don't know where it happens along the way that we start to lose our childlike whimsy. That like there's a whimsy about us as children or young people that we're taught, well, you're an adult now, you're not supposed to like these things, and you're adult now and you shouldn't have neatos on your desk. Well, I'm looking at two neatos sitting on my desk right now, and I'm using them while I record this because I have to have something to do with my hands. um, we get told somewhere along the way that all of that is not appropriate and we need to grow up and we need to be adults and blah blah blah. And, you know, when I read this quote, I didn't do anything right away. It just kind of is one of those things that sits with you. You think about it periodically, and there's like something gnawing at you that's telling you there's something that you want, there's something that you want to change, there's something that you want to incorporate, and you kind of have a vibe about it, but to put it into words, I couldn't put it into words. I didn't know how to do that. And as time went on, I've always loved cozy things, but I really started falling into this love and obsession with like just wanting to be cozy, like having a cozy environment, having a cozy, like cozy gaming, cozy ambiance on the TV, and just lighting, and I don't know, just all these things. And it really would like spark during Halloween when I feel like the house is much more cozy during Halloween and especially during Christmas. And I wanted to like bottle that up and feel that all throughout the year. And after last year, I want to say it was, and I promise all this is going somewhere, so just ride with me for a minute. Last spring in April, when my dear Chewy passed, and I didn't know what to do with myself because, that was my little ride or die. Like, he was everywhere with me. I've told y'all before, it's like I spent more time with my little doggy, my little chihuahua, than I did with my human family. Because Frank goes to sleep, the kids go to sleep, the kids go to school. Chewy was always with me. And especially at night, when the kids would go to bed, um, I would, hang out with Chewy and, be on my computer or do some scrolling or watch a show or just hang out with him. And that left a really big hole, and a void that I didn't know what to do with myself. And around the same time that he passed, I still was this calling was still like knocking on the door, right? Of I want just like these cozy vibes. I don't know what that means. I just want to feel like that. And I want to do something more creative. I kept feeling called to do things that are more creative, which is funny because in the daytime when I am working, whether it's building my podcast, adding things to my private course, or working with my instructional design client projects, all of that takes creativity. But that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for something I could touch, something tangible, but I didn't know what it was because I've never thought of myself as an artistic person, which is hilarious and ironic because my mom, she won't admit it, but she is an artist. She can paint, she can sew, she can quilt. Like, she is the most talented person I've ever seen. Like, and she could just do all these things, right? And I just don't have the patience, unfortunately, for a lot of like artsy things. And I just kept feeling this calling. Then Chewy passes away, and my hands and my, like, I'm just going crazy because I don't know what to do with myself because I'm sad. I'm like grieving. I'm bored. And it's around the same time that I kind of saw, I had seen it before. Even my mom had tried to introduce me to it like a few years back, and I just didn't have the patience for it at that time, which was diamond painting. And those of you that follow me on social media, like, I'm always diamond painting now, and it's become an absolute obsession. But that was one of the things I started doing. And I absolutely fell in love with it. It felt whimsical, it felt creative. It was very much a introvert, like, it's an introvert's like paradise, right? To do this because I can turn on my true crime, I can watch my crazy shows, I can do my diamond painting. I come in here in the office, I turn on all my like purple lights and all my like, it just feels cozy. It feels like that thing I was chasing that I didn't know what it was called and I didn't know how to describe it. So I really like got back into that. Or not got back into it, but I got into that. And then the kids got me playing Roblox a few years ago. That's nothing new, but I really started like in getting back into like my inner gaming nerd because when I was younger, I was like really into all that. And of course, gaming has completely changed now, but I'm obsessed with playing. Last summer was the summer of Grow a Garden. Like, we were waking up and playing Grow a Garden on Saturday mornings because they would give you all this like stuff. It's called admin abuse, don't ask. And this year, for the last few months, I'm still obsessed with 99 Nights in the Forest, like obsessed. And the kids are over it. They don't play those games anymore. But like Frank and I will be like, hey, you want to play 99 Nights? Yeah, heck yeah, let's do it. So like, I feel like that's like channeling that inner weird girl, like the diamond painting stuff. And I like to diamond paint like very like fantasy, bright color things that it does not go with my style that I have in the house, but it is very much me. And just really getting back into like my crystals. I've always been into crystals, you guys. Like, I remember when I was little and my parents took me to the Smithsonian where they have the Hope Diamond and all the gems and minerals, and they were so bored because they told me like I wanted to stop and read every single crystal, every single gem, every single rock. And I've never stopped loving crystals. It got buried. It got buried in going to college and working full time. And then, going to college and working full time. And in my spare time, what am I doing? I'm drinking and partying with people. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I had Chewy and he was like the center of my world for so long. And then I had children. And when your kids are young and they're babies and they're toddlers, it leaves very little time to explore you, to explore the things that you love and that fill you up. And now that like, this has been kind of a year or two in the making, but really last year and into this year, like, my kids are 9 and 5, and obviously you guys that follow me, like, I do so many things with them, and that's part of the whimsy that I'm going to get into. But Kat will go in her room and her best friends, they get on Roblox and they FaceTime each other and they Minecraft together and they do that. And then Javi sometimes just wants to play in his room and build stuff by himself. Like, so the kids have become much more independent in that sense, where it's not like I have to sit in the floor and play with them all day every day. So I've had more spare time to get to know myself again and uncover these hobbies and these passions and these things that I've always liked, that I've always loved. And let me tell you this, and this is something I've had to learn through all of this. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It just has to bring you joy. And I think that's hard for us because, especially like millennials, like we have been taught that you always have to be productive. You should try to monetize your hobbies. You should try to be productive with everything. And it doesn't have to be productive. Is it productive for me to sit in my office till 1 o'clock in the morning and put diamonds on a canvas and listen to true crime and trashy ass TV? No. Does it bring me joy? Yes. Does it make me a better person because I have time to myself to do this? Yes. It doesn't have to be something that the whole family wants to do. Matter of fact, I don't want the family diamond painting with me. That's for me to enjoy, right? It's just like Frank, he's off on a good amount of the week. He has a really different schedule. And for example, I'm recording this today and I'm like, where are you going today after we drop the kids off at summer school? He's like, oh, I might go fishing. I might go to the gun range. I might do this. Like, so he's also getting more time back in his life. Do I want to go shoot guns at a gun range? No, I am not interested. Do I want to go fishing? No. Um, so it's like we both are having time back in our lives to kind of, I wouldn't say his hobbies are whimsical, they're not, but they're him. They're what he likes to do. And so just being able to weave some of that back into my life, and I have just wanted to embrace and cultivate a slower life. I have always said my goal is not happiness, my goal is peace. And over these past few years, especially as becoming a mom, my goal is to slow down. My goal is to enjoy the time I have with young kids because I am very hyper aware to where it's painful. I am hyper aware that these are the good old days. I am very hyper aware that we are living in it right now, and I just want to bottle it up sometimes and hang on to it, and it's why I take so many pictures and so many videos. And I started seeing the trend of like whimsical, live a whimsical life, add more whimsy to your life. And I was like, that resonates with me so deeply because the older I get, the more I confirm and the more it validates for me that I don't want a busy hustle culture life. When I was younger, I did. I wanted to hustle. I wanted to achieve. I wanted to be busy. I wanted to be jet setting. I wanted to climb this invisible ladder. And I just realized it all kind of started to cement and set in when Chewy came around. And I was like, that's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. I want to be outdoors. I want to enjoy nature. I want to go to these little corny festivals and I want to, go explore this park that I've lived in the same town my whole life and I never went to before. Those are the things that I wanted. I want peace. I want creativity. I want wonder. I want family time. I want slow, easy mornings. I don't want the crazy, insane, get out the door, grab food on the way, and da da da. I don't want to do that anymore. I want summer thunderstorms. I want work that's meaningful. And I am at a place right now where a lot of the work I do for instructional design, it is meaningful. It feels very meaningful for me. I want cozy hobbies. Like the fact that I can even say of people, I always hated that question when I was younger even when I was in the thick of motherhood, like the beginnings, like crazy, like baby, newborn, toddler stage. I don't know what my hobbies are. I have no idea. And to now be in a place where I've been able to explore that, I've been able to figure out what I really like. I've been able, because I think there was also a part of me that never wanted to be home when I was younger, right? This was like when I lived at home and then like, when like moved to my first place and like I never wanted to be home. I always wanted to be out. I always wanted to be partying, drinking, being a I was like a party girl. And as I got older, it was harder to say, I actually want to be home because I felt like a dork. I felt like a loser. Like, I didn't feel cool, like wanting to be home. And now I don't give a flying blank. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I just love to be in the place that I have curated as my home. It has all my favorite things. In the summer with the pool, like we live in the pool all summer. It feels like we're on vacation. And I love that. Like I love that. Like let me just tangent for a minute and then we'll get back on track. But talking about whimsy and the concept of whimsy and all of that. So like for example, this is a typical day for me in the summer. I obviously I work and I work for myself, but I still have work and I still have deadlines. But by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I am done. We're not typically not going past 2 o'clock. Yes, there are days where that happens. Actually, yesterday was one of them. And but for the most part, like 2 o'clock is the cutoff. I'm done. We're not working anymore. We're gonna go enjoy our life and we're gonna go do things. And even yesterday, I think I worked closer to like 4, which was fine. But yesterday, we Frank had taken the kids out for the day because I had a bunch of meetings I was in and I needed the house to be quiet. So they like went down to the ocean front and to the boardwalk and pretended to be tourists and like went shopping. And I was cracking up because they came home and like, "Mom, we have a surprise for you." And I was like, "Okay." And they have bags of dumplings, they have bags of Neatos, they have bags of the butter squishies. They bought me a butter squishy because I kept saying how I wanted one, which was adorable. And I saw the bags and they were from this place called Sensations. Well, if you don't know, Sensations is like your typical beach store. There's like 1,000 of them on the boardwalk here, and they all sell the same stuff, okay? And if you went to a store in Myrtle Beach or down in Florida that's not even called Sensations, you would probably be able to buy the exact same items, but it just has a different city name on it, right? You get my drift. I said, "Frank, oh, they scammed you hard, the kids." Because I knew these squishy things were like triple the price. Of course, it's some, tourist trap, right? Anyway, so the kids went and did that. I finished working and I told them when they got home, we were going to make shark drinks, we were going to make rescue necklaces, and we were going to go to the pool and grill. And we did. So we went out to the pool, we hung out, we went swimming, we did some grilling. We made these really pretty shark drinks. I'm gonna post those on my social. And then we made they're essentially candy necklaces, but they're all like lifesavers and like ring candy, so it looks like little lifesavers that you're putting on a necklace. And then Catalina has a Minecraft class that she does online, so we did that. And then after that, it's like 7 something. Javi's still in the pool with Frank. They're still going at it with the swimming. And I'm like, all right, we got to start cleaning up. It's like bedtime. You guys got summer school in the morning. And I told Frank, because he had told me at the beach they had the Neato gummy bears. And I was like, I really want one of those. I love Neatos, you guys. Like, I'm obsessed. And he's like, "Well, let's go." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's like 7:30. Like the kids got to get, ready for school tomorrow, like go to bed." And he's like, "Let's go." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So all four of us put clothes cuz I already had pajamas on. The kids had their bathing suits, like they had to get dressed, and we get in the car and we go out on the beach and we bought overpriced, I'm sure, I don't know. I know I'm pretty sure. Bootleg Neatos. We bought more of them. We walked around the boardwalk. Kat is at the age now where she's now realizing that there's like all these inappropriate shirts in the windows and she's cracking up like she's just like dying because I guess she's never noticed it. She's almost 10. And she saw like, "I love hot dads." She's like, "Ew, what does that mean?" And then there's like this one, it's so stupid. It says thick fillet and it's like shorts. It's so stupid. And so, but I just remember being her age and going to the boardwalk and like seeing all the inappropriate shirts and like giggling and laughing and thinking it's hilarious. And um, I saw her like, ew, but then I see her like, was we're walking by stores, she's like trying to read all the shirts. And so we did that. And then, of course, we're hungry again, even though we just grilled like a few hours before. So we stopped and ate lunch on the boardwalk. Like, it was so much fun. And by now, it's like 10 o'clock at night. Because Javi never gets to really stay out late, and he thinks he's the coolest person ever. He was dancing up and down the strip the whole time. And so that right there was like a perfect summer whimsical day. got a little bit of work in, made that money. Frank is off. He's having fun with the kids. We're then having family time. We're, doing stuff out of the normal routine. And it seems so basic. It seems so simple. But like watching the kids last night, I was like, this is like core memory stuff. This is whimsy for them. And Frank and I were laughing because we're actually planning to go to Myrtle Beach for my birthday. And we're like, well, shit, like, we don't even need to go to Myrtle Beach because this is 10 minutes down the road and the kids think we're on vacation. Like, it's so funny. Like, the lady at the restaurant was like, oh, where y'all coming in from? And I said 10 minutes down the road. And she's like, what the heck are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, we're just pretending to be from out of town today and like enjoy our city, like all the people who visit here. And so, anyway, that is what I mean by like slowing down because when I tell you, when I turn my computer off, I don't think about work anymore. And I remember the days of like coming back and working later. And listen, there are times as a freelancer, especially because there are times where projects just build up and they all build up at the same time. And you do put in those extra hours, but it is worth it to then be able to have these kinds of moments as well, right? And in the summer, I try to be more intentional. I try to be more slow. And when I saw whimsy kind of trending on when I'm scrolling social media and stuff, I was like, that just resonates for me because that is the word, that is the thing that I've been trying to cultivate that I couldn't put words on, that I could not like ever since I saw the Lisa Frank quote, that vibe, that feeling, that lifestyle, that whimsical lifestyle, that's what it is. And so I looked up the actual definition. And according to Cambridge, it says unusual, the definition of whimsy, unusual, funny, and pleasant ideas or qualities, something that is intended to be strange and humorous, but in fact has little meaning or value. A sudden wish or idea, especially one, oh my God, I actually have chills right now on my arms. A sudden, oh my God, a sudden wish or idea, especially one that cannot be reasonably explained. What? I did not read that bullet point. I just kind of like, I went to get the definition, I copy and pasted it into my notes, and I didn't actually read it to myself, that part, until just now. And I have chills because I spent the whole first 20 something minutes of this episode telling you I couldn't put it into words. There was this feeling, there was this sudden wish, this sudden idea when I saw the quote of this thing that I wanted, but I couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain it, and it was whimsy the whole time. So to be whimsical means that you are full of or characterized by whims. What are whims? They are odd ideas that usually occur very suddenly on a whim, right? If you decide to fly to Europe at the last minute, you decided to do something on a whim. Okay. And whimsical can also mean leaning towards odd or unpredictable behavior. And did you know that whimsical and whim are derived from an earlier English word, whimwam, which is of unknown origin? Whimwam had about the same meaning as whim, but could also refer to an odd object or a piece of clothing. So, whimsy to me is not as a trend, it's not as an aesthetic, but it is for me finding joy in things that don't have to be practical. Remember how I said earlier, it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. It just has to make sense to you if you love it. How does it make sense? You love it. That's it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to justify whimsy. You don't have to justify, oh, if I work on this a little bit more, I'll be more productive or I'll be able to know how to do. We don't have to justify it. It just has to be something that brings you joy. And when I started thinking about how I wanted to create this episode, and I was doing my research and, thinking about all these things, I realized that whimsy as a concept isn't new for me at all. This is the guiding principle, feed your soul. For those of you that have been rocking out here long enough, you know feed your soul. For those of you that are students of my private course and private podcast, you know what feed your soul is. Feed your soul is one of the guiding principles of the Irresistible You framework. Feed your soul is is whimsy. Because feed your soul was never about productivity, it was never about achievement, it was never about weight loss. It was always answering the question, what makes you feel alive? What feeds your soul? What feeds your soul? What is it? And it was always about breaking out of the yo yo diet, body hate, shame cycle long enough so that you could figure out who the hell you were before the weight loss defined you. Who the hell you were before the weight loss determined that was how you're worthy. That you were only worthy if you lost weight. That you were only worthy if you looked a certain way and weighed a certain number. Because for years, we all taught ourselves we're not allowed to have fun things. We're not allowed to have hobbies. We're not allowed to have whimsy until we look a certain way. And feed your soul was always about what makes you feel alive. Okay? It's about intentionally creating more moments in your day of wonder, of joy, of curiosity, of magic. And as we are in the summer, I think every season has a natural whimsy to it. And so I don't want to say summer is the most whimsical season because I don't think that's true. I think they all have their own definition of whimsy. So let's think about what a whimsical summer is because the kids and I every year for the past couple years, I know I've shared this before, we would create a summer bucket list. What is it that when you go back to school, what is it that you want to be able to say you did this summer? And we would create this really fun list. And then I, in the background, will always keep notes. I have this little note on my Google Keep, and I will go in there and every little tiny thing they do, even when it's shark drinks by the pool, I put that on our list. Because the kids at the end of the summer, when you say, hey, what did we do this summer together? I don't know. Played Minecraft? I don't know. Or they'll just say the last thing we did because kids they don't really aren't able to think that far back. So every summer I make this list. And at the end of the summer, I will go through this long list and I will share with them. And we sit around the dinner table and we talk about it and we laugh. And oh my God, remember when we did that? And they forgot about it all until we start talking about it. So I think every season has its own whimsy. So this year, because I've never loved the phrase bucket list, I just use it because everybody knows what it means. But I don't like what it implies because it's implying, before you kick the bucket, and I don't love that. So this year, I'm like, no, we're doing a summer whimsy list, a fall whimsy list, a winter whimsy, right? So thinking about your summer, what are some of the things that you can do to create more whimsy, to make it feel whimsical? And remember, we're thinking about things that bring us wonder, joy, curiosity, and magic. And I think this is so important, especially for my listeners here, all my queens listening, because we were always told we have to be productive. We were always told you should lose weight. We were always told you should get your beach body ready for the summer. You should have summer body goals. You should have all these, project goals and da 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 da. And I think all of those, we can have weight loss goals, we can have fitness challenges, all of those things are fine, but it's not fine if that's all we're ever focused on. And I think that underneath our body image issues, our weight struggles, I think we are starving for whimsy. When was the last time you did something just because it delighted you? When is the last time you did something not because it was productive or educational or profitable or efficient, but because it brought you joy? When? And if you can't answer that question, then it is really time to double down and decide to incorporate whimsy into your life. Because as adults, we forgot how to play. I don't know that we forgot so much as it was it's kind of like when you put it was snuffed out of us. Like when you put out a candle, I think our flame was put out because children naturally are whimsical. They naturally just act that way, right? They're always out here making up imaginary worlds and collect. If I go on a walk with my son, the amount of rocks, girl, the amount of rocks that I have when we come back to my house, it is insane. Because children are whimsical. They like to look for fairies and look for rocks and play mermaids in the pool and all this stuff. Kids don't sit around and go, what's the ROI on this rock finding? They're not thinking about, oh, okay, I should lose like 20 pounds before I go put a bathing suit on and play mermaids in the pool. They just enjoy it. Look at dogs. Dogs are the epitome of whimsy. They just exist and they don't worry about everything. They just exist and they look for joy. And somewhere along the way, us as adults, we started treating joy like we had to earn it. We started treating joy as if weight loss was a prerequisite to earn joy. Weight loss is not a prerequisite to have a whimsical life. And think about that, because think about how much we have postponed our whimsy because we didn't want to wear the swimsuit and go to the beach. We didn't want to wear the swimsuit and go in the pool. We didn't want to wear the swimsuit and the shorts and go on vacation. So we don't travel, we don't dance, we don't want to be seen, because we're sitting around waiting for this magic moment of confidence to just land in our lap, but yet we're not doing things that build confidence. Confidence is a muscle. And when you don't work that muscle, you lose it. Confidence is a muscle, and you can't expect it to just grow. We sit around waiting for the wait. We sit around waiting for permission. Okay? Um, and how much whimsy have we missed out on because we were so busy trying to make ourselves smaller to become more acceptable to society, to be acceptable for some people who really don't give a shit about us, you know? And so your summer whimsy list, it shouldn't be something that stresses you out. It shouldn't be something that, you know, adds more chaos to your day. It should be an inspiration. So, just a couple of things, as I think about my summer and really wanting to just I just want to bottle it up. I just want to take my kids at this age and I know that I'll never have another summer with a 5 and a 9-year-old, right? And I also know that I will not always be the center of their summer breaks. And so with the kids, things that we have done and that we are going to be doing this summer is we got on the mud kitchen train. I posted a video about that the other day. We're out there making fairy potions, and that is so good. It's so healing to see my kids, like especially with Kat, who's like 9, and we're kind of in that in between stage where we're moving toward the tween stuff, but we're also still very childlike. And so sometimes I notice that she kind of like rolls her eyes at certain things. But when I set up this mud kitchen for them, and I put little gems like out of the Dollar Tree, and I put glitter shakers, and I put like just little bottles and stuff, like I put water, put the mica powder so it looks like it's like just glowing. And this kid, I expected Javi to be out there for a while. No, she was asking the next day, can we go do the mud kitchen again? And the next day, can we go play in the mud kitchen again? And when I see my 9-year-old who is starting to change, if you know what I'm saying, like you're starting to see the changes, when you see them go back to, they are still such a child, and I love it, and it brings me so much joy. And then it was so funny because I had shared some pictures with my mom, and she's like, what are they doing? And I was like, oh, they're making potions. She's like, oh my god, just like you. And I was like, yes, like when I was a kid, and I told you I'm gonna like cry, and I would stay in the front yard and like do my little witchy potions in the and the iron cauldron, right? And it's like it heals something in you to relive that again. Because that person, that version of you, it was always there. It just got buried by life. It got buried by life kicking your ass. It got buried by the obligations and the bills and the taxes and the jobs and the, you know what I'm saying? And like to see it in your kids again and to experience it and to be the person who gets to facilitate it and cultivate it is beautiful. Because even Frank, when we were outside, he's like, Are you having more fun than they are? Like, are you making potions too?" I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So like we're doing the potions, we're doing mermaid shark days at the pool. Like yesterday we had the shark theme, like I told you. Um, we're doing little treasure hunts. We're gonna have magical movie nights outside at the pool or down at the beach or just, I am constantly on the hunt looking at activities that are going on around us. We went to a lavender farm last weekend, talk about whimsy. Like, is there anything more whimsical than a lavender farm? Like, so we're looking for things to do. These are things with the kids. And for myself, it's, you know, doing my diamond painting at night, enjoying a summer thunderstorm. That is one of my most favorite things in the whole world. Getting back into looking at my cozy books. Like I have my magic books that I found at my parents, and I want to start reading those again. Visiting crystal shops, collecting, like, so it's so funny. We went to the Ringling Circus, which is so different now. It's basically just it's basically now just like singing and dancing, right? Which I'm glad they got rid of the animals. I love animals. I hate that the animals were being abused. So that's like, kudos to them for that. But as a throwback in the store, the little shops they have, where you can buy, souvenirs, they had this iridescent, a pink iridescent unicorn, basically a horse, but it has a horn on it and it has a pink feather and a saddle, and it looks like the horses that used to be in the circus from when I was a little kid. And I was like, I want that. It matches my office. It's very whimsical. I have all the iridescent things. Plus, I've always loved I collected briar horses as a kid. Love unicorns. The kids didn't want it, and they're like, I went out to take a break, and Kat was with me, and she's like, "Are you really buying that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm buying that." And they just got a kick out of this 44-year-old mom who was buying a toy basically at the circus. And like that is whimsical. Like that is me not judging myself, because there is parts of me that would say, "Oh my god, like why would you spend money on that? That's so stupid." And no, it sat with me. I saw it and it kept gnawing at me, and I was like, "I'm going to go out and buy it." And I put it up on my bookshelf in my office. It looks so cute in here. And when I look at it, it reminds me of that time, that night at the circus with my family. And so I think that's whimsy as well. It's like if you enjoy little toys, if you enjoy little like trinkets, stop judging yourself. Let yourself go and do it. Like let yourself buy it. I have my Neatos. Like so what? So what? And I think my kids see that and they're like, they said something about little kids or like teenagers or young kids playing with toys. Kat said something. I don't remember what she said. But I said, "Hey, let's remember this 44-year-old went out and bought a horse, a plastic horse at a circus, and the kids were like roaring with laughter. They thought it was so funny." The goal of having a summer whimsy list is not to like check the list off and highlight the things because we want to feel like good little girls because we checked everything off. The goal is to experience it. Whether or not you experience all of it, that's not the point. The goal is to experience it and have those memories and cultivate the feeling of whimsy in your life. Okay? Younger me, like I said, thought that happiness was hustle, achievement, constant movement, being busy. And the older I get, the more I just want peace. I want that meaningful work. I want the creativity. I want the slower living. And I want you, as a takeaway from this episode, I want you to ask yourself, what did you love before the world told you to grow up? Let me say it again. What did you love before the world told you to grow up? And what would happen if you made room for that again? Maybe it's coloring books, maybe it's riding horses, maybe it's, reading books, maybe it's crafting, dancing, collecting little rocks on your walk. I don't know. Only you can answer that. But maybe creating a whimsical summer, it's not really about summer at all. It's not about the season. It's about giving yourself permission to enjoy your life. It's about feeding your soul. This has always been a part of Irresistible You. Whimsy was always there. It was always built in to feed your soul. And it's not the goal of becoming a better version of yourself. If you want to do self-improvement, I am all for that. I love self-improvement. But when we're talking about whimsy, it's just kind of remembering who you've been all along or rediscovering who you want to be. And I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and close it out. So I want you to really think about those questions that I threw at you. I want you to answer those. If you want to share them with me, that would be awesome. You can DM me over at Irresistible Icing on Instagram and TikTok. Those are my two social media platforms of choice. This episode was really fun. I hope that it all kind of came together and it started to make sense, and I think that was just that was like an epiphany for me when I saw that definition of whimsy. That was wild to me. And I am going to let you all go. If you love this episode, please head over and leave a rating and review on your podcast player of choice. That helps me more than you know. I am wishing you the most whimsical summer ever. Until next time, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.